I never expected my day at the park with my daughter to turn into a nightmare, but when a middle-aged woman accused me of kidnapping my own child, things took a terrifying turn. Little did I know, this was just the beginning. Here's how it all went down. I had been looking forward to this day for weeks. It was a sunny, warm Saturday, and my 5-year-old daughter and I were spending the day at the park. We had brought a picnic lunch, and we were having a great time playing on the swings and climbing on the jungle gym. My daughter was full of energy, giggling and running around, and I was happy to let her burn off some steam. Before heading to the park, we had stopped at the grocery store to pick up some snacks and drinks for our picnic. I remember feeling proud of myself for being so organized and for having everything we needed for our fun day out. As we sat down on the picnic blanket to eat our lunch, I noticed a woman walking towards us. She was middle-aged, with a stern look on her face. I didn't think much of it first, assuming that she was just walking by. But as she got closer, she stopped and looked directly at me. "Excuse me," she said, her voice cold and accusatory. "What are you doing with that child?" I was taken aback by her tone, not sure what she meant. "This is my daughter," I said, gesturing towards the little girl sitting next to me. The woman's expression didn't change. "I don't believe you," she said firmly. "That child is too young to be your daughter." I could feel my heart start to race as I realized what was happening. This woman thought that I had kidnapped my own child. I tried to explain to her that I was her mother, but she wasn't listening. As the situation escalated, I could feel myself getting more and more frustrated. How could this woman accuse me of something so terrible? I had done nothing wrong. But she wouldn't back down. She demanded that I hand over my daughter to her real mother, whoever that was. I was starting to panic. People were staring at us, and I could feel their eyes on me. I didn't know what to do. I tried to reason with Karen, but she wouldn't listen. "Look, I don't know what your problem is, but this is my daughter," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "I'm not going to hand her over to you or anyone else." Karen's expression turned to one of disgust. "You're lying," she spat. "You're obviously not the mother. You're just some kidnapper trying to steal a child." I could feel my blood boiling at her words. How dare she accuse me of something so heinous? "I am her mother," I said through gritted teeth, "and I can prove it. I have her birth certificate in my bag. Would you like to see it?" But Karen just sneered at me. "I don't need to see anything. I know what I saw. That child is not yours, and you know it." I was starting to lose my patience. "What do you want from me?" I asked, my voice shaking with anger. "Do you want me to call the police myself and have them straighten this out?" Karen seemed unfazed by my threat. "Go ahead and call them," she said smugly. "I've already called them myself. They'll be here any minute to arrest you for kidnapping." I looked around, feeling a sense of panic rising in my chest. This was a nightmare. How had my day at the park turned into this? "This is ridiculous," I muttered. "I can't believe you're doing this." But Karen wasn't listening. She continued to berate me, her voice getting louder and more shrill with each passing moment. I could feel myself getting angrier and more frustrated by the second. How could someone be so entitled and cruel? As the minutes ticked by, I could see people starting to gather around us, curious about what was happening. I could feel their eyes on me, judging me. I didn't want to be here. I just wanted to go home with my daughter and forget this ever happened. But Karen wasn't going to let me go that easily. She was determined to make a scene and ruin my day, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I took a deep breath and tried to calm myself down. I knew that I needed to stay focused and clear-headed if I was going to get out of this mess. I looked around, hoping to find someone who could help me, but everyone was just standing there watching us like it was some kind of show. The sound of sirens in the distance caught my attention. I knew that the police were on their way, and I hoped that they would be able to straighten everything out. But Karen was still there, still accusing me of something that I hadn't done. I could feel my anger rising again. How could she be so entitled and cruel? "Listen to me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "You have no right to accuse me of something like this. You don't know anything about me or my daughter. You're just making assumptions based on your own prejudices and biases. I'm not a kidnapper. I'm just a mother who wanted to spend a nice day with her child." Karen just sneered at me. "Save your breath," she said. "The police will be here soon, and they'll see that I'm right. You're going to jail, where you belong." I gritted my teeth, feeling a surge of anger and frustration. "You're wrong," I said, "and I'm going to prove it." I reached into my bag and pulled out my daughter's birth certificate. "Here," I said, thrusting it at Karen. "Take a look. This is my daughter, and I have the paperwork to prove it." Karen hesitated for a moment, then snatched the certificate out of my hand. She scanned it quickly, her eyes widening as she realized her mistake. This can't be right," she stammered. There must be some kind of mistake. There's no mistake, I said, feeling a sense of satisfaction wash over me. This is my daughter, and you were wrong. Dead wrong. Karen looked like she was about to say something else, but at that moment, the police arrived. 2 officers stepped out of their car and approached us, their faces serious. "What's going on here?" one of them asked, looking back and forth between us. Karen tried to speak, but I cut her off. "This woman," I said, pointing at her, "accused me of kidnapping my own daughter. She called the police and tried to have me arrested. But as you can see," I said, holding up the birth certificate, "I'm the child's mother. There's been a terrible misunderstanding." The officers looked at the birth certificate, then at Karen. She looked like she was about to cry. I didn't know," she said, her voice shaking. I thought I was doing the right thing." The officers shook their heads, clearly unimpressed. "Ma'am, this is a serious matter," one of them said. "You can't just go around accusing people of crimes without any evidence. You could have caused a lot of damage today." Karen looked down at the ground, ashamed. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I didn't mean to cause any trouble." The officers turned to me. "Are you all right, ma'am?" one of them asked. I nodded, feeling a sense of relief wash over me. "Yes," I said. "Thank you, I'm just glad it's over." The officers took our statements and then left, leaving Karen and me alone in the park. I started to feel a sense of relief as the police officers left the park. Karen was still standing there, looking ashamed and embarrassed. I didn't feel any particular animosity towards her. I just wanted to get away from the situation as quickly as possible. I started to pack up our things, ready to leave. Karen called out to me. "Wait," she said, her voice shaky. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause any trouble." I turned to look at her, feeling a sense of pity. She looked so small and defeated, like she was about to burst into tears. "It's okay," I said, trying to be kind. "Mistakes happen. Just try to be more careful in the future, okay?" Karen nodded, looking down at the ground. "I will," she said quietly. "I promise." I finished packing up our things and took my daughter's hand. "Come on," I said, leading her away from Karen. "Let's go home." As we walked away, I could feel Karen's eyes on us. I didn't look back. I just wanted to get away from her and forget the whole thing had ever happened. We made our way back to our car and drove home. My daughter was chattering away, completely unaware of the drama that had just unfolded. I was glad of that. She didn't need to know about the entitled woman who had accused her mother of kidnapping. When we got home, I put my daughter down for a nap and sat down on the couch. I felt exhausted, emotionally drained from the events of the day. I couldn't believe that something like that had happened to me. I had always thought of myself as a good mother, a responsible person, and yet there I was, being accused of something so terrible. But I knew that I couldn't dwell on it. I had to move on and put the whole thing behind me. I took a deep breath and tried to focus on something positive. My daughter was safe, and that was all that mattered. Wow, what a crazy story. I can't believe someone would be so entitled and accuse a mother of kidnapping her own daughter. Glad it had a happy ending, though. During my spring break, I decided to go camping for the first time this year. Although I only had the weekend to enjoy the outdoors, I made the most of it and took the time to unwind. This time around, my brother didn't accompany me like he used to. It seems that he finally understood that messing with me is not worth it anymore, especially after the incident where he drank that growler full of laxative-spiked beer that he stole from me last year. So, the drama from him has been lessening in the past few months, though he's still an entitled jerk. Nevertheless, I have plenty of stories to tell about him and his antics from the months I wasn't posting. I thought that my worries about camping trouble were over, but I was wrong. I had to deal with a lunatic Karen. I had already spent one night at my campsite and was enjoying the fresh air when I got a sudden and hard tap on my shoulder. A roughly middle-aged woman in over-tight purple yoga pants with her hands on her hips was standing behind me. Although she didn't have the Karen haircut, her bleach blonde hair and overly large bug-eye sunglasses gave her away. In this situation, a lot of people will say, "Can I help you?" But I didn't want to give her an opening to say whatever she wanted. So I angrily said, "What? Can't you see I'm trying to relax by myself?" That set her aback for a second, but she didn't go away. So I paused the episode I was on and grumpily asked her what she was bothering me about. She spoke in a matter-of-fact way, trying to be in charge and activating mom mode on a stranger. However, I think the unfriendly scowl on my face was enough to show that I'm not exactly friendly, so she just pointed at the portable DVD player and said that she wanted to borrow it, along with the headphones, for her daughter. I refused to lend them to her because I didn't know her. I didn't know if she would bring it back, and I certainly didn't know if her kid wouldn't damage it. I do keep a smaller backup portable DVD player in the camper too, but I wasn't about to let this woman know that. She certainly didn't take being told off well and launched into a tirade about how I was a grown man watching cartoons, how they only had one TV in their RV, and her daughter needed something to watch because her kids couldn't agree on what to watch, so she needed my DVD player. I coldly stated that that wasn't happening, and she actually gave me a loud "why not?" So I pointed out that this was really not my problem, and she just crossed her arms and said that as an adult I should be putting kids first. I said that would be the case if I had kids, but her kids are not my kids. I don't know them, and I'm in no way related to them, and therefore I have no obligation to them. She rolled her eyes and tried to offer me money for the headphones and DVD player. Admittedly, I didn't pay much for either of them, but I wasn't interested in selling. She only offered $1.20 for both, so I just told her no and to kindly leave me alone to watch movies in peace. Then I tried to sit back down and resume the episode. She didn't take that well and proceeded to try and grab my DVD player right in front of me, like I was just going to let her walk off with it. I got up and stopped her while saying, "That ain't yours, lady." She proceeded to try and shove me over, but she clearly underestimated how heavy I am. I don't look it at all, but I'm around 230 pounds and my body frame just hides it well. And I've been in a few brawls in my life. I ended up grabbing her arms and shoving her back with little effort. She fell on her bum into some wet grass and started yelling that I'd assaulted her while looking around for support. I've seen enough Karen stories to know where this goes if I say nothing. So I yelled, "Yeah, assault! Assault on me when you tried to push me over and steal my stuff. And there are plenty of witnesses around us, lady, or did you not notice?" There had already been a few people around us watching the whole altercation, and they'd gone dead quiet while staring. So then I said to everyone, "Check it out. We've got a bona fide Karen here who tried to take my stuff for her precious angel baby. Everybody clap for her." And they did. They actually started clapping. The Karen looked completely humiliated and stormed off screeching that I was an asshole. Her yoga pants ass was all wet from the grass too, which only made it funnier. I kept thinking, "Your ass is grass," as she walked away, but I didn't say it aloud. I was still feeling uneasy afterward, and I didn't want to risk another encounter with the Karen. So, I packed up and went back into my camper to continue watching and drinking inside. I got pretty plastered that night, giggling like a moron while watching the episode with the panda people that were evil Chinese stereotypes. I stayed at the campsite for one more night and didn't see the Karen again until I was leaving Sunday afternoon. I saw her standing by her POS-looking RV with a large fountain beverage in one hand and a dog leash in the other. It was one of those yappy little fluffball dogs, too. She glared at me as I drove past, and I just waved to her and said, "Bye, Karen," out my window. She threw her drink at my truck, but none of it got in through the window. I could hear her yelling at me, but couldn't really make out a word of it. I'm not sure what goes on in the heads of these people. I understand that this could have gotten a lot worse, but I think the public humiliation was enough to make her back off. I can only wonder if the rest of her family is just like her. I'm glad I didn't meet them. That Karen got what she deserved. Can't believe some people feel so entitled that they try to take someone else's stuff like that. And then she tried to play the victim? Classic Karen move. Glad the guy stood up for himself and got the last laugh. For context, I've been working at a BPO since June 2021. I was offered to join a new campaign since October 2022 and eventually joined. In addition, I requested vacations last December, as I was going to spend Christmas and New Year's Eve with my family, as per usual, which of course, they were approved. On to the main story. I returned from these vacations at the start of January and everything went fine. However, as soon as I returned, I was informed by management that the team I was working with had been shuffled because all work teams are to be shuffled every 4 months as per the client's order. Not a problem. I was assigned new workmates, which would be fine until I met my new supervisor. The name was Rhonda. Slightly blonde, a bit chubby, and a grin that said that she was friendly. I was so stupid to fall for this. As soon as Rhonda introduced herself as the new supervisor, she mentioned something along the lines of, "If there is something I care a lot, it is about your salary. Anything wrong with your payroll, let me know." Again, there came the boring game of having to introduce ourselves to the entire team. It was my turn and went like, "My name is Eric, nice to meet you," before sitting back. But then Rhonda retorted, "Nice to meet you, Cedric." I was told by other workmates at the time that Rhonda sucked at remembering names, so I just let it pass at the time. Days went by, and whenever I was called for coachings and whatnot, Rhonda would continue to call me Cedric. I told her that my name is Eric on several occasions, but she seemed to throw the same, "I can't remember your name correctly" card excuse. It was a bit funny at the start, but it eventually became a nuisance, and I started to believe she was calling me another name on purpose. One day, I had a coaching session with Rhonda. This was about the time I had to put a stop to this nuisance. Following the coaching, I asked her why she was constantly calling me another name because crap was no longer funny. At first, she tried to play dumb and attempted to use the same excuse. I cut her off. looked at her dead in the eye and told her, "I know you're just messing with me. Just stop because this is not funny anymore." Rhonda dropped her dumbfounded facade and replied, "You got me. It's simply because your face doesn't look like Eric. What the heck? You're just messing with me because I don't look like my name suits me?" I then returned to my workplace after leering at Rhonda because of her ridiculous game. Enter February, and Rhonda didn't seem to have gotten the hint because she kept on messing with me. I have the habit of double-checking my payroll. When I checked it, I noticed that the day I worked was marked as a day off. Again, I was a bit shocked and was about to ask Rhonda what was happening. Before I could even go to her place, she informs us that there had been an outage with the payroll system, and everyone on the team would appear as day off for the day. I was a bit relieved. The next day, it seemed that everyone's payroll was eventually fixed. Everyone but me. It was my second day I was being marked as a day off. Having a gut feeling that there was something off with my payroll, and much to my frustration, I went to Rhonda and asked why my payroll wasn't fixed. She went like, "Sorry, Cedric, it seems that a few other agents are still having problems with their payroll, but your salary will be fine, trust me. Oh, and don't ever tell another supervisor about this, okay?" That one sentence felt like a red flag to me, and I thought, hold your horses, there is something wrong here. It was the third day, and again it was marked as a day off. But this time, I wasn't having it. While Rhonda was out to lunch, I went and asked Jack, my former supervisor, about what was happening with my 3 missing days of work. Jack revealed that everyone's payroll was already fixed shortly after the first day's shift ended. However, Rhonda not only lied to me but was stealing my payroll money. The bad news is that he had to send an email to the shift manager, as he needed authorization from him to modify the payroll from someone who wasn't on his team. On the next day, the 4th day, I checked my payroll once again, finally fixed. In a matter of coincidence, it was Rhonda's day off. It was at this time when Jack approached me and we had another talk. Jack went like, "Got it, we've got your payroll fixed, but there is a problem. The shift manager also sent a copy of the email to Rhonda. I'm sorry for that." I replied, "Don't worry about it. I'll deal with Rhonda on my own. Thank you." Came Friday. I was sitting in my workplace doing my thing when Rhonda approaches me, boiling mad, as if I told her some profanity. She screamed, "I told you not to tell anybody about this, you jerk." I stood up and looked at Rhonda dead in the eye and then said, "Not only you continue to disrespect me, not only you lied to me, you tried to take my salary. What's wrong with you?" Rhonda gets angry and yells, "That's it! I'm gonna get you fired for this." I became already stressed out from the altercation, so I told my team lead that I was going to take a cigarette break. Following that break, I continued doing my own business, and nothing happened. 2 days off later, I came back to work, and then I noticed that Rhonda hadn't come to work. At this time, the shift manager called me to his office. As soon as I entered and sat down, I saw Jack already there. It was at this point where I was told that Rhonda had been fired. It turns out that more evidence was found that she had had a lot of escalations over her head, as she had always felt as if she was entitled to bully her own agents. In addition, the company already filed a lawsuit against her for fraudulent activity, and all because she refused to call me my actual name. This story is crazy. Can't believe someone would actually try to steal someone else's salary. And all because of a name mix-up? People can be so weird sometimes. My fiancée Jane found out she was pregnant in June 2021, and we announced it to our immediate families in August. At first, stepmother, I'll call her SM, was completely uninterested in our baby. Not that I expected much from the woman whose reaction to our pregnancy announcement was to ask Jane if she was sure it was mine. Even my dad berated her for that one, but she barely seemed to acknowledge the fact that we were expecting. Instead, she was more interested in my stepbrother, who was also engaged and would give her beautiful grandbabies soon. No complaints. We didn't want her involved, and we didn't even have to say anything. Planning our baby shower was complicated. Both me and Jane would have to work until the holidays, and I wanted to be involved. The due date was in February 2022, so we decided on early January as the best period of time. We enlisted 2 people as planners, my sister Laura, just realized I'd never given her a name, and Jane's best friend Nina. Me and Jane are mostly laid-back people. We didn't want a big party, nor did we want to spend too much money on it. We were saving for both our baby and the wedding. We decided early on that the shower would be co-ed. It would also have to be indoors, again January, and we settled on a guest list of 25 people, plus about a dozen kids. We came up with the idea of a pizza party. Me, Jane, and Luke, my BIL surrogate son, have had homemade pizza nights weekly since I moved in, and we thought it would be fun to incorporate that into the shower. Nina found an event venue with a pizza oven, and Laura figured out ways to incorporate classic baby shower stuff into the theme. The resulting plans were awesome. Make your own pizzas, non-alcoholic drinks, and plain bodysuits for the kids to customize. Nina and Laura mixed pizza decor with baby decor and found pizza-shaped sweets. It almost seemed messy, and I was surprised they made it work, but we loved it. Most of the planning was finished by the middle of November. Well, later that month, my stepbrother's fiancée left him for her ex. They'd been together for 4 years at that point, and it was both sudden and traumatizing for him. He was devastated. SM then realized the grandkids she dreamed of would take longer to come than she thought. So, naturally, without her son's milestones to obsess over, she moved on to mine. Suddenly, SM went from aloof relative to excited grandma-to-be. Facebook posts, tacky promoted to Nana shirts, the whole nine. At first, we were too busy finishing things up at work and getting ready for the holidays to worry about that. But it didn't take long for her to start pestering us about planning the baby shower, as well as a gender reveal. We denied the possibility of a gender reveal party. No offense to those who like them, but we don't. Plus, we had decided to wait until birth to find out the sex. SM tried to get us to find out and tell her as a Christmas present, but we didn't. We also denied her the baby shower. She told my father, and he told Laura into letting SM help out with the plans. She was still living with at the time, so she didn't have much of a choice. She called Nina, and they met SM for coffee. Though I wasn't there for that meeting, Laura told me what happened later. Before they could even mention their plans, SM started talking about hers. According to Laura, she pulled a shockingly thick binder, complete with the words, "Oh baby" on the cover, colorful tabs and pieces of fabric poking out from her bag, and skipped to the shower section. It was short compared to the rest of the binder, but still long. And it was all to describe her one and only baby shower project. Laura sent me pictures and asterisk, oh boy asterisk. I'll give her this. It looked like the most asterisk Instagrammable asterisk baby shower ever. That being said, it was also barely functional and obviously expensive. There were balloons, oversized teddy bears, giant alphabet blocks, and cringeworthy signs everywhere. SM was going for pretty over cozy with uncomfortable chairs and some fancy food ideas that didn't look edible. Most of them had soft cheeses, which Jane couldn't eat. The color palette was just 3 different shades of pink with gold accents. We'd be fine with a pink baby shower if it at least tried to mix things up a little. But SM's pictures looked like Barbie had puked all over Hello Kitty's birthday party. When Nina tried to remind her that we didn't know the sex, SM said she just knew that it was a girl. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. SM also wanted an all-female, child-free party with fancy caterers and alcohol. She had written down a guest suggestion list containing some of her closest friends. Neither mine nor Jane's moms were on it, and planned party games no one had any interest in trying out. Basically, the only thing everyone could agree on was to hold the party indoors. Laura and Nina weren't given an opportunity to show her their plans until she was done. Once they could, they explained that, while they could find a way to incorporate some of SM's ideas, they'd already settled on the pizza theme. She tried to protest, but Laura stated that it was kind of them to even offer that, as the shower was a month away, and we'd already greenlit their plans. SM even called me to try to get them to change their minds, but I just repeated their words. My dad had found out he couldn't come to the shower, so he didn't get a say in anything anymore. The holidays came around, and the subject was dropped. SM seemed to be okay with the pizza party. Nina managed to pair some of the pink decor she'd wanted with matching blue stuff, and even added one of the huge teddy bears. Fast forward to a week before the shower. Jane was almost 8 months pregnant. Everything had been bought, all guests had RSVP'd, and pretty much anything was ready to go. The shower was set to start at 7 p.m. SM offered to get to the venue earlier to prepare everything. Laura agreed, mostly because she knew SM would complain if she didn't get to do anything, and the venue even let them drop off their decorations before the party. Me and Jane promised to get there at 6. 2 days before the shower, however, the venue called Nina. They told her that SM had stopped by to drop off large, heavy boxes of what she called a little surprise for us. She'd informed them that she planned on showing up at 3:30 p.m. to start setting it up. They were calling to reinforce that the venue was only booked past 4 p.m., since SM almost threw a tantrum when told that. All of the decorations was still at Nina's place, so she called Laura to check if they'd left anything with SM. Thankfully, my sister is both smart and used to this shit, so she drove to the venue the next day and asked to see SM's boxes. She told me she wasn't even surprised at its contents when she opened them, but was still shocked at SM's audacity. All of the boxes were filled with pink frilly decorations. Some of them seemed to be the exact same items SM had initially shown Laura and Nina. The signs, the balloons, the placemats, everything. Laura realized that's why SM intended to get to the venue earlier, to set up the baby shower she'd planned, and pretty much force us all to party in Barbie hell with her. She called Nina to figure out what to do. Neither of them could come at 4 p.m., so it was almost inevitable for SM to get her way. The most obvious solution they came up with was to throw everything away, but Laura had a better idea. That night, they called me and Jane. "Hey, want to destroy a party in 2 hours?" Laura got home and invited SM to go to a salon with her, lying about having coupons. SM agreed, and they planned on going right after SM was done preparing the baby shower. At 4 p.m. the next day, SM got to the venue. She was done setting things up by 5, I'll admit the woman is fast, and quickly left to meet Laura at the salon. Once they were together, Laura texted Nina that the coast was clear. At that, me, Jane, and Nina went to the venue. Sure enough, SM had prepared her party. To make this shorter, I won't describe it, but I will say it was so pink it almost gave Jane nausea. For the next 2 hours, Laura distracted SM at the salon while the three of us quickly took down every piece of decor SM had put up and replaced it with the pizza party stuff. We set up the activities, made up the tables, and put every pink item we found back in SM's boxes. It was actually really fun. We were done only minutes before the shower started. A handful of guests arrived before SM did, so I barely saw her all night. Laura told me that when they got there, SM's jaw dropped as she tried to make sense of what had happened to all her pink decor. My sister just smiled, whispered "nice try" in her ear, and went to help Luke customize a bodysuit. Overall, the baby shower was everything we'd hoped for. Our friends were there, people had fun, and we had a ton of pizza. So I didn't really care that SM spent the whole party literally sulking in the corner. Nina did catch her trying to put little pink bows on top of the cupcakes, but she quickly shut that down. I give Laura and Nina full credit for saving the day. SM's interest in our baby quickly died after that. She stopped wearing her Nana shirts, didn't come to see us at the hospital when he was born, and refused to even acknowledge that he was a boy until she met him weeks later. Up until we went NC, she was a very loose definition of the word grandmother. I couldn't be more grateful my son will never know her. Can't believe the audacity of some people. Glad they were able to pull off the perfect baby shower despite stepmother's interference.